speaking to us, Chief US Political Correspondent for Vice News there, Liz Landers. Well, look, let's stick with the story for a second, because it'd be interesting to unpick how likely a Trump return could be. Is it what the Republican Party wants? And what sort of issues are at the top of their voting agenda? Well, Erol Morkoc is the Vice Chair of Republicans Abroad, and he joins me now. Erol, thank you so much for coming on the programme. Really interested to see where you are in terms of the Republican Party, because there's some within the Republican Party that think that it's been captured by Trumpism and it's not the party that it used to be, and some that think that, you know, he was our latest figurehead, he is potentially our next figurehead, and we've got to kind of get with his programme. And I'm just interested with where you are on that spectrum.
You know what? I think that both those perspectives are absolutely true. I've been saying it for years that Donald Trump came in and broke down what essentially was a Democrat-Republican oligarchy of a conservative party that in great part does not exist in that form anymore. It became much more of a libertarian party. It did go down a way of Trumpism, but that's, semantics matter. Yes, it is Trumpism, but the ideologies in it are, collective conscious of a lot of the country. Keep in mind, I believe 89% of the counties in America, not population, voted for Donald Trump. Very rural situation, but you see these heat maps of ideology. So with the Republican Party now, it has gone through a fundamental shift. And the new candidates who are coming in are much more like, let's say, Donald Trump, and the ideology that his voters have, the millions and millions of people who came out and supported him. One thing that I think is very interesting is that the people in the party now view people like Barack Obama and George Bush as the same kind of political party. So we're seeing a complete, update. The big tent of the Republican Party is expanding incredibly. We have probably the greatest rate of pickup for Hispanic voters, immigrant voters. You're getting much more diversity. We had, the very first.
Sorry, wait a minute. Let me unpack. You've got more Hispanic voters because of Trump.
Yes, absolutely.
And people might think that's counterintuitive because of all of his build the wall and send them back and all that sort of rhetoric.
You would think so. One of the really interesting things I would urge anybody listening to go look it up is look at the border towns that actually ended up voting Republican in the last election. These were Democrat strongholds. So, people come to this country. They come to this country legally. And Hispanic people are generally have Catholic faith. They're family people. They're hardworking. And when they feel that they're being exploited by, certain political parties, they found a home in the Republican Party who, the main tenet of the Trump presidency was that nationalism doesn't mean isolationism. If you have patriotism in your heart, there's no room for prejudice. Underneath the new tent of the new Republican Party, all are welcome. So, we're polling at nearly 45% in Hispanic communities. Before the George Floyd situation that occurred, which was awful, Donald Trump was polling at 20% with African-American men. So the wide reach of this new Republican Party is something that when people try to talk about
if you have a really good night at the midterms, if you sweep the House, what do you want a Republican majority to do? What's the policy platform beyond the kind of the cult of personality of Donald Trump?
Well, I think two things. First off, we need to reject at least the Newtonian physics of the way that things go tit for tat in politics. It's not going to be in our interest to try to do anything drastic that's, what was done to us. What we need to focus on and what the people in our party are very concerned about is war, nuclear conflict, this escalation of a war in Europe. The one thing the Republican-controlled House is going to go in is going to seriously start looking at the billions and billions and billions of dollars of aid that are going into prolonging a war that the American people, they don't have running water that's safe to drink in Missouri. Like, there is crime, there is overdose deaths have hit 110,000. It was in 2018 was the first time we reversed that trend in 60 years. It was unbelievable. Donald Trump's presidency was the first time in 60 years their president hadn't started a new foreign conflict. That's going to be the top of the ballot. It's, for me, as a Trump supporter.
And then you've got Liz Cheney saying in terms of candidates at this election that say no more money to Ukraine, saying this is exactly how we would have lost the Cold War. This is what Putin would want.
Her father and what they did, the lies they told, about weapons of mass destruction and the trillions of dollars they spent an entire country's birthright, killed millions of people in the Middle East based on a lie, ran a 20-year war, profiteering for the military-industrial complex and the revolving door for their consultants in and out. And the idea that they have the gall to stand there and act like they won the Cold War, like they what won the Cold War was the advancement of the U.S. banking policy. We could outspend the Soviets. We could win any arms
It sounds
race.
like there's still some divisions within the Republican Party. Then.
She's not a Republican. She's not in our party. She's gone.
Okay, Erol, thank you so much for talking to me. That's Erol Morkoc there, the Vice Chair of Republicans abroad. Now, this weekend, and